This session is focusing on succession as a measure of your leadership success. That's what we're focusing on. And the first statement I want to make, that I hope you write down, is that the first act of leadership is to identify your replacement and begin mentoring them. That's the issue here. We also want to focus on the idea that succession is self-replacement. Self-replacement. That is so frightening. Think about it. The last thing you want to do is replace yourself with anyone. You want to protect your position. You want to secure your position. And yet true leaders seek to replace themselves. Point number 2. It takes courage to make yourself unnecessary. We do not want to feel that we are not significant. But great leaders move themselves out of the spotlight. You know, one of the greatest leaders I've ever met in my life, personally, was Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was made president by unopposed vote. In other words, he was handed power on a silver platter by the South Africans. No one could oppose it because he earned the right to be trusted. He was president for one term, and then he makes a decision. Now everyone thinking this guy gonna be here for 20 years to fix South Africa, but he was not hungry for power. He sought his replacement. He began to mentor Mr. Mbeki, and his first opportunity that he got out of there. He is not like the person sitting behind you. When we get in a place of power, we settle in. We begin to make plans on how we're going to stay here and never be moved. He could not wait to relinquish power because he didn't feel that he needed to pursue authority. So he was willing to make himself unnecessary. Point number 3. It takes courage for you to work yourself out of a job. And succession is about working yourself out of a job, making room for the next phase of leadership. That leads to point number 4. It takes courage to train the person who will make sure you do not stay. Boy, this is getting worse, isn't it? Succession and mentoring is about moving yourself on. Move on. It's a tough decision, but great leaders have the courage to train other people who will make sure they don't stay. Words of Jesus Christ. It is expedient that I go away. How come you don't have that attitude? It's expedient that I go away. It's necessary that I leave you. It's in your best interest that I vacate this position. What kind of philosophy of leadership is that? It's maturity. It's self-confidence. It's security. It's an awareness of your own value. It is a sense of self. I am who I am, and I go where I go. In other words, I take me with me when I leave, so I don't get my value from where I am. Some of you all missed it. If you get your value from being the manager, then you better never lose that position. If your significance comes from being called pastor, bishop, you better never lose that job. But if your value is not in the title, the position, or the paycheck, then wherever you go, your value goes with you. Don't become synonymous with your title. Don't become synonymous with your position. Be willing to relinquish power. It's a sign of greatness. Number 5, diminishing dependency is the measure of effective leadership. This takes all the skills of a leader to create an environment where you become less important. Sometimes the raw material you got to work with takes a lot of work. In other words, the quality of the people around you may be tough to work with, but you're going to have to start from zero. I remember when I came back to this country in 1980 with this vision in my heart to train leaders around the world. On my way back to this country from college, I remember asking a question. I asked God a question. I said, do you think the people that are necessary to carry this vision out exist in my island? And before he could answer, I answered. I said, no, they don't exist. Then he answered. He says, go home and create them. Every person God uses, you have to recreate them. So the people in your environment who you would like to mentor and develop into leaders may need a lot of work. You got to have a lot of skill, a lot of patience to mentor people. You got to trust them with power, with the rights to make decisions. All right, here's something I thought was interesting. Succession is about life beyond your leadership, living beyond yourself. True leadership measures its success by this concept again of diminishing dependency. And therefore, your greatest contribution is to outlive yourself. How do you outlive yourself? By transferring yourself to other people. Succession is about living beyond your grave. And the only way to outlive your life is to reproduce yourself in the next generation. If you seek power because you need power, you will never mentor. But if you seek to serve the next generation, you will always desire to mentor. I think it's very important and critical that people learn quickly as they rise in the ranks of leadership that they are dispensable. I am always in touch with my death. You should become friendly with your demise. Always think of your being just a flower that fades. Dust. Poof. You're here today, you're gone today. Think that way. You'll work harder on the right things, like people. So, the measure of leadership. We must not measure leadership in what we achieve or in the goals and programs and projects we accomplish. But that's what we do. So, well, I had a great event 2 years ago and did another one last year. I'm a success. No, you're not, because those were events. They're gone. People don't remember your events. Your projects. You did a great project. You had a wonderful experience. You did something great. Okay, but it's gone. People won't remember the convocation you had in Jerusalem last month. They won't remember it. It was great, but so what's next? They say next. And so you can't build projects as your legacy. So please write this down. We need to measure leadership and success in terms of the kind of people that we produce and in what we do for those people. That's how you measure success. When I look at the people around me starting their own businesses, believing in their dreams, pursuing their passions, developing their ideas, that's my greatest joy. It's not keeping them as followers of me, but what I do for them. And many of you have come to me and said, you read a book, or you've heard a TV show, or maybe you listened to a CD, or you came to an experience and you had an event with me and it changed your life. To me, that's leadership success. It's what you do for the people around you that make them better than you. That's legacy. So the measure of true leadership is really ultimately your ability to leave. You are successful when your organization grows after you leave. When the greatest leader of all time left the earth, he had 11. Then 120 showed up in Rome. And in 1 week, there was 3,000. And the rest is history. In his absence. Sometimes the only memory of a people is the old picture in the lobby. Why don't you paint your face on the hearts of people? If they never put a photograph up of you, will your name still be in the halls? Would you hear them talk about you? She did this for me. Yes, I was discouraged, but then one day she spoke to me. Yes, I started this business because one day she or he gave me this idea. In other words, would your name be on lips rather than on walls? Legacy is about giving life to people, not photographs. You are so important to the people around you. Give them your best. Give them yourself. They deserve that. Here's a thought. As mentor, true leadership makes itself increasingly unnecessary. That's how we live. True leadership is measured by what happens not in your presence, but what happens in your absence. Some of you were wondering whether you should come here. And you start thinking about the things you had to do that made you unable to come here. That could be a sign of your weakness. If you believe you can't afford to leave the place to come for you to grow, you are a poor leader. Because it means you cannot trust the people that you claim to train to work in your absence. You can always tell a poor manager or an ineffective supervisor or a weak leader. And that is, every time they leave the office, there is a coffee and a water fountain party. You all know about those parties? Sure, you were part of them. You couldn't wait for the manager to leave, and you just sit around and talk for whatever, 2-3 hours. When they come back, everybody runs back to their desk. That's a poor leader. What happens in your organization when you leave? And why can't you stay away more than 2 weeks for a great vacation? Why do you need to call every hour? Because you are not a leader. What happens in your absence will measure your greatness. So mentoring sets you free to have a vacation. Mentoring keeps you healthy. You can rest. Hey, I like what Jesus Christ did. He went to heaven and sat down. Give him a big hand. That's good stuff. He did so well with those 12 guys. He says, I'm gone. I'm out of here. And he's been sitting for 2,000 years. That's a long vacation. And all he's doing is what? Just praying for the saints. It says he did so well. He's just observing with his brothers. He said, look at my boys down there. They went from 11 to 2 billion. And I'm not there. Ulcers, high blood pressure, growths, fibroids, diabetes, stress. The Bible says the commandments of the Lord are not grievous. Is your work causing you grief? You can't just train people so you can go away. Let me tell you something. If their needing you makes you feel important, you are a parasite. If they keep calling you on vacation to ask you questions or get directions, you are a weak leader, perhaps not one at all. Why is it so quiet? See, leadership is the capacity to leave. And the only way to do that is intentional mentoring. Teaching them everything you know, training them to discover their gifts, to become their best. Without you, then you can live long. Leadership. Write this down. True leadership is measured by your followers effectively leading others. When your followers can effectively lead others, you are an effective leader. You know, in a family, this works like this. If you are a parent, you don't measure your success as a parent by the behavior of your children. That's not a measure. You measure your success as a parent by the behavior of your grandchildren. You get it? In other words, if you were a great parent, it would show up in your grandchildren, because your children will parent their children the way you parent them. So study your grandkids. I pray not for those who are with me, he says, but I pray for those who will believe on me through them. I'm going to check the grandkids, because if I mentor effectively, then my mentees will mentor effectively. This is why you should never be driven out of office. Oh, this is so good. Listen, some folks don't leave. They got to be driven out. The board got to vote to get them out. Don't give any board the pleasure. This is good stuff now. Don't let no board decide it's over. Beat them to the deal. Leave on your own volition. Transfer before you are terminated. Write that down. Good stuff. Transfer the power before they try to fire you. Look, why? I don't need this job. I came here to create leaders and I'm on my way. That's the way you go into an organization. God makes sure you will never own his organization. So he lets death take care of you. You think you're all of that? Don't worry, we're going to stretch you out in a casket in a little while. And all that you thought you were will be in a box. One box. And we're going to dump it. Tell your neighbor, settle down. Come on, tell your neighbor, settle down. Yeah, you ain't all of that. Settle down. Don't get all highfalutin and all this stuff. Who you think you are? Reverend and bishop and doctor and manager and supervisor and CEO. Oh, shut up. We're going to bury you in a soul. Focus on legacy. Some of you are 3 weeks away from cancer and don't know it. Some of you are 12 months away from it. You are 18 months away from an accident. I don't know. You don't either. Maybe that's why he sent you here. Because he knows the future so well. Maybe he's saying, go back and start in the morning. Call your office and say, look, I'm in the Bahamas where God lives and he's talking to me. I ain't calling you no more until I come home. Do what you know to do and make me proud, and then hang the phone up. Maybe he sent you here because your time may be short. Every day I live, I write my obituary. Every day I decide what they will say over my dead body. I'm writing that myself. I hope you're writing yours. What are they going to say about you? I shudder to think that you can work all your life for something and someone comes along and kills it in 1 month. Leadership success is not measured by what you have done, but by what you can successfully transfer to the next generation. The vision, the passion, the ideas, the dream, what you saw that you won't live long enough to finish, and you give it to someone else. That's your leadership success. That's how you measure it. When the Lord gave me this theme for this conference, I was afraid. I said, because maybe we're not matured enough for this. We still got these little small little minds that are demagogic. We want power. We want to hold on to all this notoriety. And God is saying, let it go. It's tough to let it go. All right, here's something to write down before we break. If your ministry or your vision dies with you, you failed. So you measure leadership success in succession by living forever through people. You know you're going to die, so you might as well make it worth it. Do something that makes you live beyond your cemetery. Don't live just for yourself. Leadership is about transfer. It's about intentional release of power. So I want to give you a little suggestion on how leaders should see. First of all, a leader is one who sees more than others see. Be conscious of the people around you. See in them what they can't see in themselves. Secondly, see farther than others can see. Don't just see more than they see farther. See life after your death and design it. You can design your future beyond your grave by mentoring. And thirdly, leaders see before others see. They are very conscious. They're quick to understand. I better put that in place in case I'm not here. They see quickly. I better fix this before I leave. I better make sure, provide for this before I go. I remember King David. What an interesting guy. David knew he was dispensable. So he put aside a lot of money, a lot of materials, a lot of equipment for a temple he knew he couldn't build. He was able to see beyond. Now, one of my goals in our organization is to hand over everything we have to the young leaders that are around us. I can't wait for that. But I made a promise. I will give them a debt-free organization. They will not inherit debt. I want them to start off where we left off. Are you thinking and seeing beyond everyone? Leadership not only is sight, it's foresight. Leaders see consequences of their actions. They know that if I do this, this will happen. And if I do this, this will happen. So they make decisions very carefully. They measure leadership by the decisions they make to secure the future. You don't make decisions to secure yourself. What will it do for the people and for the company? When our organization first began, I told our board, I said, look, we must invest in real estate because it's the only guaranteed estate that is real. That's why it's called real estate. Everything else ain't real. And so we've been doing that over the years. And we have cushioned ourselves so well that we're not afraid of any crisis. The decisions that you make will secure the future if you are a visionary leader. Your interest should be in the future because that is where you will spend the rest of your life. If you mentor people, they'll protect you. I'm going to say this again. If you mentor people effectively, they will protect you later. I have seen some of the most horrific experiences that can make you start believing in God. In the church. I've seen pastors who died, and in 1 week the board fired their wives, got rid of their sons and daughters out of the church. And this pastor built the church for 40 years. 1 week the board gets rid of the whole family. That pastor failed, not the board. Because if he had mentored someone and transferred the vision to that person would protect the pastor's legacy and his family. If you like power, you will train the people around you to like power, and therefore they're coming after yours. Hope you're listening to me. If you're in the ministry or in the business just for money, you're training the folks around you that is valuable. That's what their values are. So they can't wait to get rid of you to get your money. But if they sense that you love, respect, and want to invest in them, their gratitude will protect you. Mentoring guarantees succession. All right. I know it's rough on you, so we're going to break. Because this is introspective stuff. This is the level of leadership that you don't get in college. They don't talk about these issues. No seminar or any leadership course I've ever gone to ever covered succession and mentoring, because it's all about power, position, authority, profits. They don't think about legacy. Here's something to think about. Don't miss any session, please, because we need to learn about how to do this. Anybody want to know how to mentor? Let me see your hands. You know how to do it? Let me see your hands. I just want to see a confession. You want to know how to mentor? Okay, some of you assume you know. I'm not going to leave it up to guessing. This statement up here, it's an interesting statement. And this is a little hint. We're going to break in 5 minutes. But I want you to think about this. First of all, one of the most successful transfer of power was Moses to Joshua. Do you agree? Absolutely. Perfect. Normally, when there is a transition of power, there's a fight. Infighting. Board meetings become violent wrestling matches. People start jockeying for position and lining up and setting up and claiming different pieces of the organization, and it begins a big war. No war with Moses and Joshua. Easy. But do you know why? If you read this statement, very interesting statement. It says Joshua, whose father's name was Nun, was Moses' what? Aide. How long? Since you. Okay, listen. You want to mentor people who don't want your position. They want to make sure you stay in it. I'm going to say this again. This is very important. You want to mentor people around you who don't want your position. They want to protect it. I'm going to say this a third time. This is very subtle. You want to mentor people who don't want your position. They want to make sure you stay in it. That's what an aide is. Now, the folks we call aides today, they are following you, serving you, carrying your water bucket, not because they want to protect your position. They are hoping that a couple of things will happen. One, you'll make a mistake and you'll get fired and they'll get the position. Two, they'll catch you in something that disqualifies you and they'll blow the whistle on you and take your position. Or three, they pray for you to die quickly so they can take the position. Or fourthly, they hope you go senile, demented, so they can qualify for your position. Or fifthly, they will be your aide so that you will turn around one day and give it to them. And all of them are wrong motivations. Joshua wanted nothing. How do I know this? Well, look at the next statement. You remember when God told Moses, he said, Moses, this work is too hard for you. I want you to lay hands on 70 elders. So the 70 came, Moses called them up. Of course, he identified qualifications. He called them up. And then he laid his hands on these 70 people. And when he laid his hands on them, the same spirit that was on Moses came upon these people. So now Moses multiplied himself 70 times. And it says Joshua was not in the camp when this happened. He might have been working somewhere doing something. And when he came back to the camp, you're talking about at least 2 million people by this time. I mean, it's a massive country, a mobile country. And he comes into the camp, and Joshua hears all of these people sounding just like Moses. They begin to prophesy, talk, and they sounded just like Moses. Now Joshua becomes very, very angry. And Joshua listens and he goes, what are you doing? Stop it. And he runs in the office He tells secretary, I want to see the CEO now. And she recognized that, oh, okay, he's the aide. And she let him in. And he walks into Moses' office and he said, Master, do you know what's happening outside? He said, everybody gonna take your job. That's what he said. He said, look, they're gonna replace you. They won't need you anymore. They sound just like you. You are in danger of losing your position. That's what he told Moses. Moses is a great leader. We need him to come back again in your chair. Moses turns to this young guy and he spoke. Now Joshua said, stop them. I don't want them to take my boss's job. I got to protect you. And Moses replied, Joshua. And I believe this was the moment when Moses decided this kid gets the company. Because he doesn't want it. He wants to protect me. Wow. This is when Joshua expressed his love for his boss. And please don't forget that statement. It'll make sense tomorrow. His love for his boss. And Joshua heard Moses say, look, listen, son, are you jealous not of me? Please write that down. That's important. See, people around you, they're jealous of your job, jealous of your power, jealous of your money, your notoriety, your fame, your position. You're the manager. I want to be the manager. So they try to do stuff to get you out of there. He wasn't jealous of Moses. He was jealous what? For Moses. That statement means he was defending Moses' position. When people talk about your boss or your pastor, what do you say to them? When people gossip about your boss or your pastor, what do you say? Do you join in? Or do you defend them? Don't you talk to about my president like that. You stop that. Don't you talk about my supervisor like that. Do you say that? If you join in with them, you will never be a successor. I remember one time, and we're going to get into this again tomorrow, but, Peter, wow, I knew the moment when Jesus chose him. That's when Jesus started talking about, I'm going to die. Peter says, over my dead body. Christ said, I like this guy. I like this guy. Do you defend your boss? Or do you join in and criticize because you want him to fall so you can have the position? I think the Apostle Paul, great leader, I believe that's what he meant when he said, do not entertain accusations against an elder. What he's saying is, look, you could actually disqualify yourself for leadership by entertaining criticism of another leader, because you rejoice in their fall. Joshua was defending the position of Moses. He says, I don't want no one to compete with you, boss. And Joshua says, I'll die if they try to take your job. And Moses says, are you jealous for my sake? Then Moses shows his leadership maturity. He said, I wish everybody was like me. Why? I'm not competing for this position. I want everyone to be a leader. There it is. Oh, great prophet. God says, look, Moses, I want everybody to be a prophet. Is that how you think about your leadership position right now? You wish everybody in the office could have your job? Or you praying they never get it? What's your mentality about leadership? Are you defending your turf, and anyone who comes close, you find a reason to destroy them? Or are you saying, I wish all of you can take my job. I'm going to make all of you just like me. I'm going to train all of you to have my same ability. Wow. That's maturity. Leaders, true leaders, are never married to a position. True leaders walk around with a debt. DBT. They owe to humanity. I owe humanity this. I'm going to pay my debt. That's how I feel every day. I owe all of you what I'm teaching. I have to do this. I owe you this. This ain't no job for me. This is an obligation. Are you jealous for me? Even in our organization, at Twyla, a lot of people come and go, and I just sit and listen, watch, think, observe, and I don't say anything. I go, let me just see among them who are jealous of me and who are jealous for me. Because there's a big difference. There's some folks who don't like you because you're successful. And what they don't know is, if they're smart, if they act right, they can get all of it dumped in their laps. Are you jealous for me? Moses said. Then you got the whole job. Didn't give it to his sister, Miriam. You remember her attitude? Some of y'all got that same, no, not you, the one behind you, got that same attitude. Who you think he is? God can speak to me. Wait a minute. This is not about competition. It's about purpose. That's Moses' purpose. Girl, you can't compete with purpose. You can't compete with Myles Munroe, what I'm doing. This ain't your purpose. You find your spot and you glow in it. God says, Miriam, I'm going to kill you because of your attitude. And he gave her leprosy. Yeah. And the same person that you are jealous of will be the one to save you. Moses saved her. Why? Because he didn't ask for the job. True leaders never ask for their jobs. Destiny chose them. So don't ever be jealous of destiny. You'll never win. It's like being angry because a bird is flying. The bird will fly and sing while you die because he didn't choose to be a bird. Yeah. All right, finally, why mentor? Leadership succession. Why should you mentor? Because success without a successor is failure. And that's it. Success without a successor is what? Failure.
Thank you once again for listening to this message, as we hope that it has been a blessing to you. Our goal is to show you new paths